Writer, actor, comedian, star Eliot Glazer is celebrating Jewish History Month this May with a series of videos that are going to be on Comedy Central social media. You can also catch the videos on YouTube as well too. The show is called Two Jews Choose. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, say that 3 times fast.
So first of all, I want to go ahead and say you were just in Chicago for the Golden Girls Fest that we had here, Golden Con. What was that experience all like?
Oh my God, that was, first of all, Chicago. I love Chicago. It was so fun to go back. I haven't been there in a while. That was truly bonkers. I thought I was a pretty steadfast and die-in-the-wool Golden Girls fan. These people put me to shame. I called them all lunatics, and I hosted a bunch of panels and moderated some panels as well and interviews. And I called everybody there a lunatic because, and with love, because these people put me to shame. The Golden Girls fanaticism at this event was out of this world, and Chicago turned out to be a great city for it. It was a blast. It was truly not just a blast, but it was genuinely one of the craziest things I've ever experienced in my entire life. It was nuts, and but what a blast! I mean, I learned so much, and there was so much merch and interviews, and met all these incredible people who had big and little things to do with this show, but it really felt like a meeting of the minds. It was so much fun.
That's awesome. We can't wait to have the fest back next year. But let's talk a little bit about May, because we'll preview some of the guests. But you talked to Josh Peck on Two Jews Choose, and in Chicago we don't put ketchup on our hot dogs. And you talked a little bit about hamburgers, hot dogs. So I think not only is it something that you talked about on the show, but it's also very much a Chicago thing.
Is it? I mean, I was trying to ask people. I really was trying to find out what is the dessert. I have a really intense sweet tooth, and I was trying to figure out what is the dessert of choice in Chicago, and I really couldn't get a good answer because everybody kept talking about the Chicago hot dog. And I, as a New Yorker and as a Jew, am just used to a certain type of hot dog with a bunch of stuff on it, mustard, sauerkraut. It's sort of, the burger is, I don't even think about a hamburger. But in Chicago, I was I guess it was the Chicago dog that people kept going back to, although I honestly spent my time finding deep dish. That was more important to me. But honestly, I mean, deep dish is probably the least Jewish food among the 3 of those things.
Let's talk a little bit about the series. Who are you interviewing, and some of the topics that you're going through?
Yeah, I mean, basically the game it's a game. It's a game in which basically I delineate whether something is Jewish or Goyish. And Goyish means it's not Jewish, but what it really means is that it's not for the Jews. And I speak to other Jewish celebrities about it. Rachel Antonoff, the designer, Susie Essman from Curb Your Enthusiasm and Broad City, Abby Jacobson, my sister from another mister from Broad City, Josh Peck, of course, and Judy Gold. And then there's one already out from a few months ago with Seth Rogen. So basically we're just talking about our sort of shared cultural experience and how Jewish stuff is just kind of in our bones. But I think the sort of whimsical aspect of it is that it's literally all subjective. This is not data, this is not science, but at the end of the day, it's yeah, we know. We just know what's Jewish and what's not.
There's some things like sleepaway camp or hot dogs that you talk that everyone's on the same page. Were you surprised by some of the answers, or that you thought someone was going to say something and that they didn't say what you were expecting?
Honestly, to be completely honest with you, nothing fully shocked me outside of Rachel Antonoff, who's a designer, and she mentioned that her family happened to drink milk with dinner in their house, which is, it's not even about being kosher or not kosher. That is just the most Goyish thing that I could possibly imagine. And I think she was as surprised as I was when I heard it, because I guess it's unique to her experience, but that is top tier Goyishness to me.
Yeah, I know. I don't think I've
milk.
had
I grew up
since I was 8 years old.
No, I mean, I remember growing up with a best friend whose family was not Jewish, and he would have milk with spaghetti and meatballs. And even now, I'm genuinely a little, I'm nauseous, and it makes me nauseous, but he swore by it, and the family I just couldn't believe it. And when Rachel told me, I think it was a full blown, mushroom bomb in my brain. I couldn't wrap my head around it.
We'll have to go ahead and watch the whole series to find out what everyone's answers are. Eliot, thank you so much for your time today. Go ahead and catch us on Comedy Central social media channels and on YouTube as well too, starting on May 2nd. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me.